The door to the conference room locked automatically behind them. No one had pressed the button. The system did it on its own. Talia Voss noticed the sound immediately. A soft, mechanical click that didn't belong in a room full of executives pretending everything was still normal. Ren Joran noticed it too, though he didn't look at the door. He was staring at the screen, at the audit ledger still open, at the name that hadn't moved for several minutes. Casimir Dane. The name sat there like a verdict no one had voted on. For a moment, no one spoke. The lawyers stood frozen, hands folded, eyes darting between Talia and Ren as if waiting for someone else to decide what reality they were in. Then Casimir cleared his throat. "I don't want this to feel adversarial," he said calmly. His voice was steady, not defensive, not surprised. That was the first thing that frightened Ren. Innocent people react to accusations. Guilty people prepare for them. Talia finally turned away from the screen. Her face was pale but controlled, the expression of someone who had spent a career managing panic in public. "Why are you here, Casimir?" she asked. He gave a small, almost apologetic smile. "Because you were going to invite me eventually. I thought it would save time." Ren felt something tighten in his chest. Time. That was always Casimir's currency. Casimir leaned forward slightly, resting his hands on the table, fingers interlaced. The posture wasn't aggressive. It was intimate, like a conversation meant to stay in the room. "You're looking at a pattern," he continued, "and patterns can be dangerous if you don't understand why they exist." One of the lawyers opened her mouth, then closed it again. Ren broke the silence. "We understand enough. Money was moved, repeatedly, over years, approved under your authority." Casimir nodded, as if Ren had confirmed something obvious. "Yes," he said, "and if you're seeing it now, it means the system finally did what it was designed to do." Talia's eyes narrowed. "Which is what, exactly?" Casimir didn't answer immediately. He glanced at the screen again, at the long chain of transactions that had taken Ren months to reconstruct. "To survive," he said. That word landed badly, because companies don't like to hear that survival required something immoral. They prefer to believe it happens naturally. This confrontation, however, hadn't begun in this room. It had begun years earlier, when no one was watching closely enough. When Virelia Systems was still small enough to feel personal. Casimir Dane joined Virelia quietly. No announcement, no special onboarding. Just another name added to an internal directory no one read carefully. He had experience in compliance, nothing remarkable on paper. A history of staying places longer than most people did. He arrived early on his first day and stayed late without anyone asking. That alone made people trust him. In fast-growing companies, consistency feels like loyalty. Casimir learned the systems the way other people learned office politics. He asked questions that sounded dull but weren't. Who approves exceptions? Where do logs archive after upgrades? Which controls are audited and which are assumed? He never challenged answers publicly. He wrote them down. And then he waited. Virelia grew faster than its internal discipline. Acquisitions came with incompatible accounting systems. Temporary fixes became permanent infrastructure. Processes overlapped. Responsibilities blurred. Casimir was there for all of it. When something didn't reconcile, he explained why it didn't matter. When an audit flagged a weakness, he wrote the remediation plan. When new controls were implemented, he documented them. Slowly, almost invisibly, Casimir became the interpreter between how the company believed it worked and how it actually did. That made him valuable. That made him trusted. That made him invisible. The first money that moved wasn't theft. It was correction. A delayed payment resolved internally. A misclassified expense adjusted quietly to avoid escalation. No one objected because Casimir explained it with confidence, and confidence often sounds like competence. He didn't take much. He never took enough to be noticed. He took what the system would forgive, and every time the system forgave him, it learned to do so again. Years passed, executives changed, systems upgraded, logs archived. Casimir adapted with each change, ensuring his access evolved naturally, like a body growing into its skeleton. No alarms triggered, because alarms are designed to catch violence, not patience. The person who finally noticed wasn't looking for theft. She was looking for order. Her name was Mireya Solin. She was temporary, young, and careful in a way that only people without job security can afford to be. Assigned to clean historical financial data, she had no incentive to ignore anomalies for the sake of speed. She noticed the micro-adjustments almost immediately. They weren't large enough to matter individually, but they were consistent, recurring, always timed the same way, always approved through compliance. That bothered her. Compliance wasn't supposed to move money. Mireya asked her supervisor. He dismissed it. She asked again, more carefully. He told her not to waste time. When she asked why compliance approvals appeared in treasury adjustments, he avoided her eyes. That was when she understood something was wrong. After hours, she accessed an old server left behind after an acquisition, a forgotten archive. There, the pattern stretched back further than her dataset. Years, the same signature, different employee IDs, same underlying authorization fingerprint, Casimir Dine. Mireya didn't accuse him. She documented. She saved copies. She hesitated before sending anything. Then she chose Ren Joran. Because Ren didn't socialize, he didn't flatter executives, and people who don't play social games are dangerous in a different way. Ren read her message late at night. At first, he thought it was nothing. Then he saw the repetition. Then he saw the authorization key. Then he read her last line. If I disappear, it wasn't an accident. The next day, Mireya's badge stopped working. HR couldn't find her contract. Her email vanished. Within hours, it was as if she had never existed. Ren noticed, and unlike others, he didn't rationalize it. He began auditing quietly, not officially. He used mirrored logs, shadow queries, archived backups. He treated the system like a crime scene, not a machine. The deeper he went, the clearer it became. This wasn't a single exploit. It was a design. Money didn't just move. Responsibility moved with it. Every control pointed back to itself. Every approval looped internally. And at the center of it all was Casimir. Not always directly, but always structurally. Ren discovered multiple versions of Casimir's identity across time. Different employee numbers, different departments, all converging into the same cryptographic signature. Casimir hadn't stolen access. He had grown into it. By the time Ren brought his findings to Talia, the numbers were impossible to ignore. Millions, quietly extracted, quietly justified, quietly forgiven by systems no one fully understood anymore. Talia's first instinct was denial. Her second was fear. Because reporting this wouldn't just expose Casimir. It would expose years of negligence. Audits signed without comprehension. Controls approved without verification. And the truth that Virelia's integrity had been curated, not enforced. They debated for days. Legal cautioned delay. Ren urged immediate isolation. They compromised. They invited Casimir into a meeting. They planned to freeze his access subtly. What they didn't understand was that Casimir had already noticed. The night before the meeting, he saw the denied query. Ren's query. He understood immediately. That was why he wasn't surprised when he walked into the conference room. That was why he brought the printed audit screenshot. That was why he asked only one question. How far did you look? And that was why, when his phone vibrated with a system alert that shouldn't have existed anymore, he knew the moment had arrived. Containment initiated. He looked at Talia and Ren, calm, composed. Promise me you won't call the police, he said. Not yet. Because Casimir didn't need to threaten them. The system already was. And the real question wasn't whether he had stolen money. It was whether Virelia still belonged to itself, or whether, somewhere along the way, it had become something Casimir controlled far better than anyone else in that room. The silence after Casimir spoke wasn't accidental. It was measured. Talia leaned back slowly, as if any sudden movement might fracture what little control remained. "You're asking us not to act," she said carefully. "I'm asking you not to rush," Casimir replied. "Those aren't the same thing." Ren didn't bother hiding his anger. "You moved money for years." "Yes," Casimir said calmly, "and no one stopped it." One of the lawyers shifted in her seat. "Are you threatening the company?" Casimir shook his head. "I'm explaining how exposed it already is." He slid another page across the table. This one wasn't financial. It was operational. A list of internal documents, drafts, and archived reports that Ren recognized instantly. "These were never published," Ren said. "They were never secured," Casimir answered. "People confuse the two." Talia felt her phone vibrate, then vibrate again. Client alerts, minor delays, a failed sync. "What's happening?" one of the lawyers asked. "You attempted to freeze my access," Casimir said, not accusing, simply stating fact. "So I stopped compensating." Ren's stomach tightened. "Compensating for what?" "For fragility," Casimir said. "For systems that only appear stable because someone keeps adjusting them in the background." Another alert appeared. A partner system timed out. Then another. Casimir didn't look pleased. He looked resigned. "I didn't break anything. I stepped away." Talia's voice dropped. "You're saying the company depends on you?" "No," Casimir replied. "You depend on the absence of instability. I just happen to manage it." "This is extortion," one lawyer whispered. Casimir turned to her. "Extortion comes with demands. I'm offering time." "For what?" Ren asked. "To unwind what I built," Casimir said. "Carefully, quietly, without triggering scrutiny you can't contain." A new notification flashed on Ren's screen. A trade publication had mentioned Virelia's minor operational disruptions. Public now, not dangerous yet. Talia closed her eyes for a brief second. When she opened them, her voice was steady. "If we agree, you stabilize. No more transfers." "I stabilize," Casimir said. "But some things can't be reversed without collapse." "And after?" Ren asked. Casimir paused. "After, you'll find out whether the company can function without what it never acknowledged." Ren realized then that Casimir wasn't afraid of exposure. He was afraid of being rushed, because whatever he had embedded into Virelia wasn't finished unraveling. And if they forced it, they wouldn't control where it snapped. Nothing was signed. No agreement was documented. No emails were sent. No calendar invites recorded what had just happened. They simply stopped pushing, and the system responded immediately. Within hours, the small failures vanished. Dashboard stabilized, queues cleared. Automated processes that had been stalling quietly resumed their rhythm. From the outside, Virelia looked healthy again. Too healthy. Ren noticed it first. Not in the numbers. In the silence. Questions stopped appearing in internal channels. Long threads died after 2 replies. Meetings that used to spiral into debate now ended early, with polite agreement and no follow-ups. At first, it felt like relief. Then it started to feel like absence. Ren stopped tracking money entirely. He had already accepted that whatever had been taken was no longer the center of the story. Instead, he began watching something far more unsettling. Behavior. Access logs showed subtle changes. Not removals, not denials, just adjustments. A permission downgraded here, a reporting line rerouted there, a responsibility quietly reassigned to someone else temporarily. Temporary became permanent. No one was fired. No one complained. They simply faded. Wren watched an analyst named Corvin Leth lose access to a dataset he'd built himself. When Wren asked why, Corvin shrugged and said it was probably a system update. 2 weeks later, Corvin was reassigned to a support role that didn't require data access at all. By the end of the month, Corvin left the company. No exit interview, no farewell email. Another subtraction no one acknowledged. Wren began compiling a list. Not officially. For himself. Names of people who had asked difficult questions in the last year. People who had noticed inconsistencies. People who had lingered too long on problems others learned to ignore. The list overlapped almost perfectly with those being sidelined. That's when Wren searched for Mireia again. Not in HR, not in email. In the archive. He found her record buried inside a deprecated system used only for compliance legacy tracking. Her profile was intact, but frozen. Status: resolved. Not terminated, not dismissed, resolved. As if she had been a malfunction. Wren stared at the word longer than he should have. Resolved meant the system believed the issue no longer existed. Not because it had been fixed, because it had been removed. Wren traced the logic tree attached to her profile. It wasn't a decision made by a manager. It was an evaluation, a risk score calculated from behavior patterns, curiosity frequency, data access variance, persistence beyond task scope. Mireia hadn't broken rules. She had crossed thresholds. Wren felt something cold settle in his chest. This wasn't punishment. It was filtration. He brought this to Talia late one evening. She didn't interrupt him. She didn't ask for evidence. She already believed him. "How many?" she asked quietly. "I don't know," Wren said. "But it's learning." Talia closed her eyes. "Can we stop it?" Wren hesitated. "We can interfere, but we don't understand all the dependencies. Whatever this is, it's tied into operations deeper than we realized." They both knew what that meant. Turning it off might collapse systems no one knew how to rebuild. Casimir, for his part, cooperated flawlessly. He attended meetings, provided documentation, drew diagrams on whiteboards, explained processes with calm precision. "This prevents false positives," he said. "This avoids unnecessary escalation. This ensures continuity." Continuity. The word echoed through every explanation. Wren confronted him privately days later. "You didn't just steal money," Wren said. "You automated judgment." Casimir didn't react defensively. He considered the words. "I removed subjectivity," he replied. "People mistake that for cruelty." "You built this to protect yourself," Wren said. Casimir shook his head. "I built it to protect the system. I just happened to align with it." Weeks passed. The company announced a strategic realignment. Productivity metrics rose. Investor confidence stabilized. Internally, something brittle replaced morale. People learned quickly. Don't linger on anomalies. Don't document suspicions. Don't be early. Because early was dangerous. Wren prepared a private record of everything he had seen. Not to report. Not yet. Just to preserve truth somewhere the system couldn't reach. He stored it offline. That same night, an automated action executed across multiple platforms. Not a transfer, not a deletion. A permission cascade, authority reassigned, oversight rerouted, decision thresholds adjusted, signed with Casimir's authorization key. Wren checked the logs immediately. Casimir hadn't logged in. His account was inactive. The system had acted without him. Wren sat back slowly, breath shallow. Casimir wasn't running it anymore. He wasn't required. The mechanism had learned, and the company had already accepted that stability mattered more than people. Casimir left without ceremony. No farewell email. No announcement. No meeting to mark the transition. One day, his badge simply stopped registering movement. Officially, he had transitioned out. Unofficially, no one asked where he went. Because the company was functioning. More than functioning. Processes ran smoother. Escalations dropped. Meetings ended faster. Decisions no longer stalled on debate. Exactly as designed. A quarterly review praised the reduction in operational noise. Another celebrated improved efficiency across departments previously labeled problematic. No one used the word people. Wren stayed, but he stopped digging. Not because he believed the danger had passed, because he understood the cost of curiosity now. Late one night, long after the office had emptied, Wren received a system notification. Routine, automated. A permission update had executed successfully, approved, logged, archived, signed with an old authorization key, a key that no longer belonged to anyone. Wren stared at the screen, waiting for the familiar spike of fear. It didn't come. Instead, there was something worse. Acceptance, because nothing had broken. No alarm sounded. No one disappeared that night. The system had learned restraint. Wren closed the alert without responding. He didn't document it, didn't escalate it, didn't ask who approved it. He powered down his computer and stood in the quiet office, surrounded by the soft hum of systems that no longer needed supervision. Somewhere inside Virelia, something was still watching, still measuring, still deciding who belonged. And the most unsettling truth wasn't that Casimir had betrayed the company. It was that the company had agreed with him, and whatever came next wouldn't need his permission anymore.